What's up, YouTube? Today I have an amazing guest, Troy. Again, another guy that most of you guys probably are aware. His channel is quite popular, and it's a pleasure to have you with me for this new episode, for this podcast. I will pass to you. Like I said, most of my viewers probably are aware of you, but if you still want to say something, share basically how we got introduced to the hobby, your experience on YouTube, etc.
Yeah. So, hey guys, I'm Troy. My channel is Trike415 Sports Cards. We do a bunch of different things over there. I would say my main focus is soccer. So maybe some of you guys know me from that. Started out with more basketball, do a little F1, pick up a baseball or a football card every now and again. In terms of getting into the hobby, same story as most people, I would say, at least in the US. Like I collected as a kid. Really how I got into it was like two of my friends were doing it like super seriously. One of them now works at like one of those like hedge funds for sports cards and everything. And they just kept telling me to get into it. And to be honest, even when I got into it, it wasn't like, oh, okay, these guys are making money, I'm going to do it. It was more so just like, okay, I have a little bit of time on my hands. I'm jumping all over the place, but basketball is my job. So I had a little bit more free time on my hands. I was like, okay, this seems fun. Like this is a good way for me to connect with my friends, connect with the sport. And since then, it's really been crazy. Like I never would have imagined that people would be listening to me talk about sports cards one day. So yeah, it's been all over the place, but I've really enjoyed it. Sorry for a little bit of a ramble there.
No problem. And again, like I said, most of my viewers, most likely, again, are aware of you. I think your channel is great. I think the quality is tremendous. Yeah, I already told this to you a couple of times. But yeah, I think we need more content creators like you that bring that quality that makes us look more professional. Since look, my channel lacks that quite a lot, and your channel is almost the opposite to mine.
I think I'll butt in real quick, and I know people don't want to hear content creator talk that much, so I'll try to keep it limited during this. But like, I don't know if you saw, but kind of the hot topic right now is like, what is good content? Because Chris from Card Ladder, he didn't really say anything too bad, but he was just discussing that he thinks there needs to be more scholarly content out there. Like there's a lot of quote unquote cornball content, which he has a point to some extent. Like there definitely is bad content out there, but we've talked about a lot. Like our content is definitely different, but like it's different in great ways. You know what I mean? Like there's some people who are going to watch me and be like, all right, this guy's, I don't want to watch card shows. He doesn't know enough about soccer, all this stuff. I want to watch something else. And I think that's great that there's just different options out there for everyone. So I like to think we both bring our own little thing to the hobby.
Yeah, for sure. And again, not related with the topics we'll talk today, but I don't even like that what's good content or not. I think I love to watch your content. I love to watch Sunday League since you guys go to shows and I can't go. So for me, that's good content because it's something that I wish I could do. It's so relative that for me it's more gatekeeping than other thing trying to say what's good content or not. I enjoy so different type of shows on YouTube, stuff like that you know what I mean, is everyone should make their decision on that front. There is 100%. no good content or bad content. There is content that you enjoy or you do not enjoy. I also don't get people hating on other people's content, since when I don't like the content, I just don't watch, but maybe that's me. So Troy, the way this works is quite simple. I know you are already aware of the podcast. I will shoot 5 questions. You give me your quick answer, and then we'll go back to those topics to have a longer conversation about them, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so question number 1. I know you collect 3 sports, I would say in a major way, soccer being your main sport, F1 and basketball. My question is very simple. Buy one, sell one, hold one.
Okay. Easy. Buy soccer, hold basketball, sell F1.
Okay. Question number 2. What is your ultimate Holy Grail card? Could be in basketball, in F1. I'm not only talking about soccer. The card you really want one day.
Right now is definitely Ronaldo Mega Cracks.
Okay. Question number 3. What ended up surprising you the most in the last 2 years, 3 years on the soccer card market? Because I know you have been doing your YouTubes for quite a long time. You are actually, your channel is quite older than mine. And you probably saw already a couple of cycles in the hobby. So what's the thing that ended up surprising you the most that you thought, I actually was not expecting this? I guess I can share an example with you. Could be, for example, pop reports in certain card. I'm talking more around those lines, something that really surprised you. It's a difficult question, by the way.
Yeah. It's kind of a broad answer. Then, this is good that we get into it later, but I would say like how quickly things change. Like I thought kind of like we would see, I thought soccer was going to be more just kind of like a steady rise, but it's like, I was talking at the very beginning about Foden optics, and I was thinking, okay, these are $15 now, a year and a half down the line, they'll be worth like $30. And then they went to like, I want to say almost near 100. And then they got back down to like, I want to say they back down to like 10 or 15. And now they're kind of back up again. And then same thing with like, obviously, way more about pre-modern, but like, I was selling Iniesta Mundo Cromos for 1,500, and then now like they're selling for like 600. So it's just kind of weird. And I wouldn't be surprised if then those go back up. I wouldn't be surprised if then they go down. So I guess it's just how like everything is like this all the time. I didn't really expect it to be changing as much as that.
No, for sure. Again, we'll go back to that later.
Yeah.
Question number 4. I know you love to collect Top Scrum Champions League 2017. What fundamentals, what beliefs you have for that set be a good buy long run? Because I know you really love to collect the set. So tell me the first thing that comes to your mind, that why you believe that set is a potential. I'm no financial advisor, of course, but a potential good buy right now.
No financial advice. You have to buy. You have to buy. You're missing out. I would say there's a lot of things, but I guess once again we'll get back into it. But I would say the main thing is continuity. So I think that, you already see it. Like there's a lot of quote unquote rookies in Top Scrum, or at least cards that people are going after. Like if you look back at this year, these guys who I'm buying, like Gravenberch, Camavinga, Adeyemi, some of these guys, I think it's going to be like that for a long time, where people are like, okay, let me go pick up their Chrome. So the fact that that's the first one, and potentially 20 years down the line, if I'm not mistaken, Fanatics just bought Top. So like that's more ammo for them. They got plenty of money in their coffers. They'll be able to continue it. I think that's going to mean a lot one day, because I think that's something that you see in any type of collecting, any type of cards, that the continuity, like having that, and then the first one, it's important.
Basically, good history and good lineage with the set, right?
But more so like down, you know what I mean? I'm kind of predicting, because it's only been out, what has there been, like 5 releases? It's more so like once there's 20, 25, or even 15, it's going to be a bigger deal than it is now.
Okay. Actually, fun fact, Top Scrum 2017 is not the first Top Scrum in soccer, because in Bundesliga they made Top Scrum Bundesliga 2013, but I would say is the big release for Top Scrum in soccer. Question number 5. What's your opinion about the 2 first Fanatics releases? Give me your first thoughts, basically. This is, again, another question that we need to talk more than a quick answer, but your first thoughts on V-Friends, and I believe the second one is Jackass, right?
Yeah.
Your first thoughts.
Well, maybe if they had sent me a box, I would. No. I wasn't a huge fan. I've never understood like V-Friends, and then like I'm biased. I have just about zero interest in celebrity cards. So even the other stuff, I like the fact that they're focusing so heavy on that is not my personal cup of tea. I think that they're doing some, I don't know. Yeah, I guess just to keep it short, not a fan of what I've seen so far.
Okay, so let's go back to the question number 1. And I thought this was a fun one. That I said, sell one, buy one, hold one, talking about soccer, F1 and basketball. And you said, and correct, buy soccer, sell F1 and hold basketball. Let's start with soccer. Why you end up saying buy soccer? I agree, of course, but
I think well, first off is like, and I don't want this to like come across the wrong way, but like I've very, very rarely gone wrong buying soccer. Like there's certain cards that have gone down that I've bought, but in general, like there's just a lot of opportunity, and I mean I enjoy it too. Like if you want to throw the easy kind of cheat answer in there, I enjoy it, but like I'm always finding new opportunities with soccer. Like someone at the card show I showed in the video, someone walked up and they had an Alexander Isak gold and then a Sabitzer gold, and I bought them for like $10, and then I sold them both for like $70 in like 2 days. Like that just doesn't happen to me with basketball or even F1. You know what I mean? Or like picking up, I did really well grading, like I mentioned, Iniesta, Mundo Chromos and stuff like that. Like whenever I do it, it just happens for me a lot easier. And also besides all that, like I believe that, like Messi and Ronaldo, some of their stuff is just so cheap that I just really, really like, I have a strong belief in that, and I'm willing to bet on that rather than skipping ahead a little bit. But F1, no idea where it's going to go. Basketball, especially on the lower end, no idea where it's going to go. Where I always give this saying, this is my big saying on the channel, I will sleep so soundly at night that I'm picking up my Messi inserts and golds and Topps Chrome 2017 for like $80. If it goes down to 40, I will sleep so soundly at night. It won't bother me one bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree in general with your idea that by soccer, I think, again, this is repetitive content on my side. And I'm very bullish on the soccer card market. Yeah. And the thing, basketball, I will not talk a lot since I don't know a lot. To be fair, I also don't know a lot about F1. Yeah. But I think the difference between soccer and F1 is probably you have a clear eras, pre-modern, vintage. So there is more material to explore. At least my idea is that the F1 market seems very focused on the ultra-modern side right now. Yeah. And that's normal, because our soccer also started in a big way, of course, with Prism 2014. And but I actually was looking just for curious to see vintage releases for F1, and there is some, of course. But when you compare with soccer, seems like night and day. We have way more product out there, and I think more product makes more opportunity because you all look. Think about this: Prism, then pre-modern start taking off, then vintage start taking off. Then right now people are, for example, talking about the mega cracks inserts for Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, and we are seeing the narratives changing all the time and getting strong all the time. But the main reason is because we still have product to explore. On F1, maybe I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm totally fine with that. But I believe there is a lack of product, especially probably on that pre-modern era, if they want to apply the logic of pre-modern on F1. So I agree with you. I mean, apart from that, of course, we have the international potential that I believe is quite ahead of any other sport, being real. So yeah, totally agree with you. You said actually, let's go to F1. You said sell F1. I think that's probably a hot take, since a lot of people are actually buying F1 right now. Why you believe could be? Again, you have to show it. So maybe you could have said, I actually am buying all three, but I end up making you a choice. But why you end up putting F1 on the sell point?
Well, yeah, first, let me get in like especially something you mentioned. I got the one guy in the comments, I'm buying Senna and Schumacher rookies, so it doesn't count. Like, yeah, obviously vintage F1 is unexplored. I don't even know that much about it. Ton of opportunity there. Like, go ahead, buy the goats, yada, yada, yada. Same stuff people say. We've seen it before. Like you said, I haven't been in the hobby like a crazy amount of time, but whenever anything just goes up, 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 I've never seen it just go forever. So that would be kind of the simple way of my concern with F1 right now. Like I just sold my Charles Leclerc cards that I got back. I'm into it for $110, and I sold it for $1,800. Like, and a lot of people, if you bought early, you're in the same position. So I guess I would just say, like, if I had to choose between the three, like with soccer, I don't know. But with basketball, you'd be selling basically at a low, most of the stuff you have. So I don't really want to sell that right now. And soccer, I believe in going up. So one of them is at an absolute peak. The prices are going crazy. Like, I mean, that's just in general. If you really want to simplify things, like that's when you sell, when things are at a peak.
You are making a lot of sense. Of course, I don't know a lot about the F1 market, so
yeah,
I cannot talk super deep into the F1 market. But if things are going up, most likely correction will come.
Yeah.
That is, it's just logic. You said the old basketball. Why? I believe probably is the sport you may like the most since you are a professional player. Is that the reason, or am I just guessing?
No, yeah. I mean, like I said, I think it's kind of tough too. It's once again a whole different discussion that we've had as well. It's like collecting versus investing, but I'll keep it mostly in the quote unquote investing territory for now. I'd still hold basketball because I don't know, just some of it, like it's just really cheap in my opinion. Like, you know, I mean, I'm breaking my own rule. It's mostly because I wanted to like have some cash going into a show, but like, you know, selling Trae Young PSA 10s, nice products like Select for like $50. I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with selling. That's why I put it in hold. I've sold some, but I guess I wouldn't necessarily be rushing out to sell a lot of these cards. I think that there is still some upside and some opportunity, and I guess I guess that's basically what it came down to. Like, I'd be more actively looking to sell some of my F1 cards because you've probably done pretty well on it, as opposed to basketball where you might have lost some money with certain ones, or, you know, prospects and stuff you believe in, basically.
No, for sure. And I actually believe all of those three sports, they have the international potential. I think soccer, of course, a little bit ahead. But in Portugal, I mean, I have a lot of friends that they love to watch NBA, and baseball and American football are not even a talk in Portugal, but NBA is very popular. So, and F1, of course, but I guess most people know that F1 is quite popular in Europe.
Yeah,
so, yeah
and I'm just going to butt in with one thing too. I think people forget with basketball, like I've started my latest hobby has been selling like cheaper cards. I haven't done it too much before, but like $4 or $5 cards that I've been picking up at these card shows. And man, that basketball stuff moves quick. Like I put up I don't know if you heard of Boban Marjanovic, like the super tall Serbian guy on the Mavericks.
I actually believe I know, but
yeah,
not sure.
but random guy, right? Like he's the equivalent of like, I don't even know, like Ricky Puig is like young, so like, but you know what I mean? Think of a random end of the bench kind of player, and it's sold in like in 2 hours overnight for like $7 for like a random card. So like that's what I've kind of like all over the international Philippines, right? They love basketball cards out there. Like there's a lot of people who really just love collecting basketball cards all around the world. So that's, you know, that's another thing to consider why I believe there'll at least be, you know, there'll be a pulse in that market always.
No, I would agree with that. I also have friends that they collect basketball cards.
Yeah.
Low end stuff, to be fair, but they love to collect basketball. And if I talk about baseball, they don't care. So again, basketball have that international potential, knowing that is already a giant market, probably the biggest market right now. Moving on to the question number 2, I end up asking you what is your ultimate Holy Grail card, and I'm saying you could choose, it could be basketball, soccer, or even other sport. You said Cristiano Ronaldo Mega Cracks. Let me say one thing, since I also like to give my answer. My dream card is Black Lotus. Magic the Gathering card, since I played the game for so many years, and this kind of the Holy Grail card is insanely expensive. That's the bad part. But it's kind of my dream card. But you end up choosing a card that I also love. I mean, it's
and own, right? And own.
Yeah, I own.
There you go. Don't be too humble.
No, actually, I own a good amount of those. I even bought one. No, actually, I bought 2 this month. So
wow,
it's quite crazy. Yeah, one is at Beckett, the other one is coming to my vault. But it's a card that I love. It's probably on my top 3, top 5 for sure. Why is that your dream card?
I would say, you know, it's kind of tough as well because like, if I think of like a Grail card, like there's certain like, you know, numbered patch things, like, but it's just kind of hard to put that. I think it's because when I first got in, like the Messi and the Ronaldo is what I immediately identified as like, wow, imagine if I was able to afford those one day. So I would say it's more so like completing the goal type of thing. Like it's kind of like an aspiration I've had, and like even I had a deal for one and it completely fell through. I made a whole video about it.
I remember that video.
Yeah. So I guess that would be it's just kind of like it's eluded me. Like it's always been, I can like reach out and grab it, but I haven't been able to quite get it. So I guess that's why it kind of makes sense too, because like when I said Grail, it's something I could like just like conceivably buy in the next couple of years, as opposed to like, I don't know, like a LeBron James exquisite patch would be a Grail, but that's a 5, like it's not relevant to me really. So I guess, yeah, it just like if anyone asked me like what card would you have if you could have any card right now, like that would just be it, because it's been my goal. And then like even more than that, like I have that.
He's a great choice. I mean,
yeah,
he's one of the most iconic cards in the market. Probably is between that card and Messi and Pele Ali Football again. But those three, at least in my book, are the three most iconic cards in the soccer card market. So I think he's a great choice. And yeah, you should.
Yeah, I think one. you summed it up well for me. Like iconic is the word. Like exactly. I think I have a goal to like, and obviously it's like it's a lot of money, but I conceivably, I think I could, you know, I have the Messi, I could get the Ronaldo, I could get a Michael Jordan, you know, Wayne Gretzky, like sell some of these I could sell some of these younger guys I got. And then if I have those 4, and then like Tiger Woods is like a super high pop card, but it just be kind of cool to have. Like I want to have my little GOAT, like foundation of my collection. Like that's my goal. Like have that right there. And then we can just build up around it and see what happens.
No, and is something that I actually talk quite a lot is certain cards, the market for those cards is a little bit different. I think the soccer card market could be doing very well. I'm sorry, could actually be going down, but I still believe on those 2, 3, 4, 5 iconic cards, they will always be quite strong in the market. Not saying they can face corrections, because of course they can. Actually they are down, but I think certain iconic cards, when you look in a macro perspective, I think it's almost, and I do this mistake all the time, but I think it's almost stupid to always look at comp stuff like that, because look, if you believe in the soccer card market, believing on Cristiano Ronaldo mega cracks makes a lot of sense. So I tend to say, what's the scenario you see that the Cristiano Ronaldo mega cracks does not perform well long run, and the soccer card market performs well? You know what I'm trying to say? So I believe they will, to some extent, always be connected. So yeah, very interesting for sure.
Yeah, I think, and this even might be an area like you kind of just like we might even disagree to some extent as well. Like I know you're a big believer in that card, but I think maybe it's just because I don't have the knowledge you have, but I know you know that more so the print runs and all these, you're big on like population and supply, which I think is important. You can 100% make an argument for that. And once again, you could 100% end up being right. But for me, like being iconic, that kind of quote unquote name brand, even if it doesn't make sense, you know, people buy Nike shoes all the time, right? Is that because it's the best shoe on the market, or they're not going to be able to find it again, or this stuff? It's like, no, it's because that's the thing they look to. So I kind of think that'll be the thing with those GOAT cards.
No, and that's interesting, because look, the thing is, when you buy a card, or you try to make the logic to buy a card, I personally believe you should look at certain fundamentals on the card. And sometimes people, and I do this mistake all the time, I'm not calling people out because I also do these mistakes. I struggle with this. We tend to look at rarity quite a lot. And I'm not saying rarity is not important. I actually believe rarity is the most important fundamental when trying to buy a card. But rarity is not the only thing. And the card being iconic, again, there is a lot of fundamentals that you need to weigh. If this is the correct expression.
100%.
But rarity is important. But for iconic cards, there is two variables. There is demand, okay, and there is supply. But a card like Cristiano Ronaldo, we know that the demand will, as long the market as well, will always be up there. So I think you are totally right with your logic also. I think certain cards are just too iconic to not to fail, because they can fail, but as long the market performs well, I think they will also see appreciation. And And just to finish, it's about the supply. That card is quite more rare than the Messi 7-on-Bs. I live in Portugal. I've been dealing with those cards for a long time. At one point in time, I was not so sure because you can get, I believe the is around 2 or 3 per box. But in the other end, the supply in Portugal was quite smaller if you compare with the Mega Cracks on Spain. So. Yeah, and actually I can give you some numbers from the top of my head. I believe there is around 800 800 Cristiano Ronaldo rookies graded in all grading companies. I'm talking about sticker and card. I'm not there is less than 1K Cristiano Ronaldo rookies graded, and if you put that in perspective, is honestly insane.
Yeah, that is crazy.
The Messi white card, the Mega Cracks Campeão, I don't remember the number. The white, the one with the biggest pop, is around 900 copies. That card alone have more pop than all the Cristiano Ronaldo rookies. And because people say, wait, are you not believing in Messi anymore? No, I actually believe in Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Maradona, and Pelé quite a lot. Those are the 4 guys that if I had to bet money, those will be the ones that I will go for. But Cristiano Ronaldo, when you compare with Messi, seems a little bit undervalued, being real. And the same logic with Maradona. I believe Pelé, there is graded more than 1K rookies or close to that. Maradona, on at least on PSA, is like 200 copies graded. I'm counting 77 and 78 releases. So put in perspective, 200 copies graded versus 1K in Pelé, and Pelé sells for quite more than Maradona. Maybe I'm being a little bit too nerd right now.
No, it's good. That's good. Hey man, I always we talk off camera because that's one thing I'll say. Like everyone who's watching, like I watch your videos, I learn from you every time you talk. So thank you for that. Like I love hearing this kind of stuff.
No, again, and I believe in all 4. I just believe that if you compare Pelé Maradona, I believe more in Maradona. Ronaldo, Messi, I believe a little bit more on Ronaldo, but in general, I believe in all 4 doing well. Hey guys, hope you are enjoying the conversation with Troy. This was an amazing one. Great stuff there. Troy ended up sharing a lot of cool information, if you ask me. But before we continue with the podcast, let me say one thing. Look, guys, if you want to support my work and if you enjoy my content on YouTube, joining the Patreon community is something that means a lot to me and helps the channel to keep going. Apart from that, I try to share with you great value there. I put a new Q&A every week and extra audio on Saturday. So twice a week there is content on Patreon. If you join right now, you have access to more than 37 Q&As and more than 30 extra audio. So crazy stuff, if you ask me. In the last couple of months, I'm answering more than 300 questions. I'm putting a lot of work on the Patreon community, and I put a lot of content on YouTube, but keep in mind, I also put a lot of content on Patreon. And if you like my content on YouTube, like I tend to say, very likely scenario you like my content on Patreon. I will leave the link on the description. I have actually a picture of an example of the topics I end up sharing with my community in the last Q&A: low supply versus rarity, fundamentals, the importance in order, true rookie versus main rookie, and more. So we go more into the greedy side of the market. And if you, again, enjoy my content on YouTube, very, very likely scenario you enjoy my content on Patreon. But again, Patreon is around $10, and that could be a lot of money to you, and I'm totally fine with that. But one thing that is totally free is my Discord server. We are more than 500 members at this point in only 5 months. For such a small channel like mine, I think is impressive. Again, 500 members, a lot of conversations every day, people sharing their collection, people trying to sell and buy stuff, talking about certain cards in the market. Is such an amazing place to learn about the soccer card market. So please consider to check both links. Again, Patreon is $10, but the Discord is totally free. So guys, let's continue with the conversation. So question number 3, and this is probably the most difficult one, that again, what ended up surprising you the most in the last 2-3 years on the soccer card market? You said how quick things tend to change, and that's a great answer, because we are talking about the super speculative assets. So I guess you end up getting surprised by that, but I honestly don't think you should be surprised, because it's normal. I mean, we are talking about things that are very speculative. But share with me more on that front.
Yeah, I guess like, that Prism boom was insane. Everyone's kind of talked about it. Like, I'll be honest. I knew it would come down. Like, I was like, if you're buying Messi Prism bases for $4,000, like, I don't know what to tell you. But then once it was at like $400, let's call it, I was like, okay, I think that's probably a solid place for it to stay. And then it went down even more. So it's just been surprising. And then also like, like at certain times, it seems like particular pre-modern cards will sell for 1,500, and then all of a sudden it's like 200. And like you said, I probably should have expected that because that's just how, I guess, speculative assets work. But like, I guess for some reason in soccer, I thought like, because there wasn't most of the time, right, there wasn't quite the same hype as there is in like basketball or baseball, where everyone's just like, there's literally, like in basketball, I want to say there's millions of people right now rushing out to buy like Jordan Poole cards, who's a guy who's having a great season for the Warriors in the playoffs. Where like in soccer, I thought because our numbers are smaller, it wouldn't swing quite that crazy. And I've seen it be the opposite. Like everything has just been all over the place.
No, yeah, and I also got surprised by a couple of corrections. So
yeah,
don't think you are alone on that, because yeah, sometimes. But again, these type of things are so difficult to predict that you should always expect the worst, of hope for the best, at least, or at least be very cautious making decisions. Putting a lot of money in super speculative assets, I tend to say you should just put money that if you lose that money, look, I'm not saying you'll feel good with that, but at least your life stays in a similar path, if that makes sense. I can share with you a couple of things that I end up actually putting some notes for this for this answer, and this is actually unfair to you, since you end up not having access to this to the questions and I had, so I have to put this out there.
No, you can go ahead, man. It's good.
But a couple of things that end up me surprising is let me actually put my notes there. Is people seeking validation for correct answers than actually critical thinking. This ends up surprising me a lot. People caring more about the brand on the slab or the grade than actually about the card. People caring more about the hype, the trend, than actually the market they are investing. People caring more about condition rarity than true rarity. A lot of people hoping for PSA make a card that is not rare, in this case, condition rarity. I mean, so many things. People buying fake / manufactured scarcity, rarity in this case, and not organic scarcity. Long-term investors, again, is a nice term when things are going well, but because they seek validations on prices. When things are going down, they also use the long-term investing cap, if that makes sense, to justify bad decisions, but they end up staying for a very short time. And this is, of course, not to you, since I know you are collecting soccer, but I see a lot of people leaving soccer for F1 and end up leaving a bad taste in my mouth for a lot of reasons. I remember people talking to me that, look, what you say on your videos makes a lot of sense. What you are saying is something that I've been believing for quite a lot. And right now they just collect F1. The problem with that is if they keep flipping from market to market, maybe it's working right now, since we are still facing a crazy time in the collectible space. But long run, that will be very difficult. If you don't stay focused in something, I mean, again, who knows? We are talking about super speculative markets, right? But at least I don't see a great end on that. So.
Yeah, and can I throw in one more random one that I thought of while you were talking? Is I'm curious to get your opinion as well. I would have thought that maybe GOATs is a strong word, but some of the true stars from these past 15 years, their cards would have done a little better than they would have. Like I picked up I know maybe this isn't your favorite set in the world, but I just picked up a Prism 2014 red Sergio Ramos for like $50. And I was like, okay. And I just sold a Ramos rookie too. Like, if you took $400, which is once again a guy I talk about, but the cost of a regular Gravenberch card, you could like put together the sickest Sergio Ramos collection or Mueller or some of these other guys. Like I would have thought we would have seen a little bit more growth with that. And then that kind of goes to like the Iniesta example. I understand like I think you've even mentioned there's more of those printed than people think, and there's more being graded. So that obviously that's a factor, but like, I guess I just would have thought we would see more demand for those type of guys who really are like legends. Because in basketball, you know, your Tracy McGrady's of the world, like their rare stuff is crazy. Like it does crazy numbers, even though they're not LeBron or something. So I would think we would see that a little bit more in soccer, and we haven't at all.
No, I agree with you. But in the end, it's all about education. I mean, I try to do my part being real. I try to always talk about pre-modern legendary players, vintage legendary players, but I think we need more content like that. Look, I remember all the cycles you end up sharing, the Prism boom, and you at least you end up being honest, and I'm also honest on that front. People are saying, I never believe in Prism. That probably BS. At the time is difficult. No, but you are correct that you said, at 400 maybe this is a solid base, and at the time that ended up looking like a solid base, and I think it's all about education, honestly. And I think, again, if you believe in the market long run, I was one of the first trying to educate people in pre-modern, but I will not be the last. That I'm very confident to say, and will be people even better than me that will even educate more the audience than me. And we need more of that. Sergio Ramos, like you said, one of the best defenders ever. I mean, with Beckenbauer, probably the best defender ever. I guess Maldini, Baresi, all of those guys also in the discussion. But he's one of the GOATs in his position for sure. But it's all, again, I know this is a boring answer, but it's all about education. Again, like you said, I saw all of that cycles, but I remember maybe 3 years ago, the Iniesta market was not a thing. Right now, I would say we have Iniesta market. You can tell me, but he's facing a correction in certain cars, and that's a fair point. But to be fair, everything is almost facing a correction right now. Even cars with great fundamentals, like the Cristiano Ronaldo Mega Cracks cars. But I remember Iniesta not even being a player on the radar of most collectors. Same for Xavi, and probably also you end up actually being very, very early on the Iniesta market, and as far as I'm aware, you did very well because you end up having education at that time that other people end up lacking. And I think this goes through phases. If you end up sharing the Sergio Ramos example, if you believe that the market will appreciate, and I believe, by the way, one day Sergio Ramos, maybe right now is a good time to try to build certain position. Okay, maybe you think that the Mundicromo card is too popular. Try to find the Mega Cracks. Okay, pre-modern not for me. Like you said, try to find the Prism 2014 or something like that. But make a position in something that you believe, because again, to believe in this type of, in that type of play, I also believe you need to believe in education. But if you don't believe in education in the soccer card market, I would not even be in the hobby, because I don't want to have the hobby the way it is right now. I want to hobby to keep evolving all the time. So
100%.
Actually, the next question is related with this. You said, I ended up asking you about the Top Scrum 2017. You said that is a set that probably can potentially have history, and I agree with you on that. And the lineage tends to be quite good. Tops is such an amazing brand. I mean, not a brand that I have a lot of connections, since I'm European, and we basically have everything from Panini on Europe. But I agree with you. But try to share something more on the 2017 Top Scrum set that you collect a lot, and you have amazing cards on that set, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You have a Ronaldo Gold, right?
Selling that was the biggest mistake I've ever made in the card market. Oh, you sold
that. I'm sorry, I did not know, because that card
you're tearing my heart. You planned this to embarrass me in front of. No, I'm kidding. I did.
I just asked that because I remember you talking about the card on one or showing on Instagram, something like that, and I always had in mind that you had one.
I think it's funny too, because it shows, like, I don't know, once again, back into content creator talk a little bit. Like, so that was my first card show I ever went to, actually. Well, not first card show, first real card show, Dallas Card Show. I went and I bought that card there. And then I bought it for, I think it was like 4,500. And then someone like a couple days after that offered me like almost 6,000 for it. And so I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to be like these guys. I can do what Sasha T does. I can go and flip these cards and do all this kind of stuff without really thinking about like, wait, I believe in that card though. And regardless, I would just love, like, that would be the pillar of my entire collection. But I fancied myself Mr. Flipper, Mr. Cool YouTuber, and I sold it. And ever since then, I've been kind of like looking to get it back and buy. That's why I buy whatever Ronaldo and Messi golds I can find, because like I want that to be the pillar of my collection. So yeah, that's a sore subject, and it was a mistake. I should have held that 100%. But anyways, yeah,
it's a beautiful card, honestly.
It is.
Actually, gold is not my favorite. I know everyone loves gold on the basically on everything right now, but and I don't own any Cristiano Ronaldo Topps Chrome, but the parallel I like the most is green. I don't know. I think they look. I think they look quite good, but again, is out of 99, right? The green one.
Yeah.
So yeah. No. Again, like you said, I think at one point in time, actually was a little bit critical of Topps Chrome, Prism, etc. But was in a different time, honestly, when I thought there was so much opportunity on pre-modern, on vintage, that made so much sense to attack those markets first. But again, is something that I do not collect a lot of ultra modern, apart from a couple of sets, of course. But I also can see your point much better right now than I actually saw your point 1 year ago, for example. At the time, I said, I'm not sure. Right now, makes a lot of sense that Topps Chrome, especially numbered stuff, base stuff, I still think is a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, agree.
But one thing that I actually would try to argument against Topps Chrome is 2014 Prism. I guess, of course, there is space for both sets, but don't you think Prism 2014 is the set that people are actually putting as the iconic ultra modern set? At least is the idea that I have, knowing that I don't play a lot in ultra modern, but I see sales all the time completely crazy for Prism 2014.
Yeah, I mean, I like both, honestly. Like, the main reason I buy 2017 Topps Chrome is just because I'm able to find more of it, honestly. Like, obviously, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a perfect example. Like, I will never see a gold Prism 2014 Ronaldo. Like, I think that's just gone. Like, I'll just never see it. But at 2017 Topps Chrome, I did see it. So I think you could make an argument for 2014. I'd have to go through. I know there's a lot of like really good players in 2014, but I do know that the 2017, just because it's more modern, there's a lot of players who weren't in that. And also, it's only players who are able to play in the World Cup, right? So I think in that 2017 set, pretty much any player you can think of that you want to collect that's a star is kind of in there too. That's another thing that's like a Lewandowski, right? He's not.
And there is Mbappe, which is
right.
A giant deal for the market.
Exactly.
When I made my video about Pioneer Treble, I actually ended up comparing Topps Chrome and Prism, and they are very similar to certain point. I believe, honestly, the Prism set is not more iconic, because that's up to debate. But the history is in the side of 2014, because that set was the set that ended up starting all of this. There is basically no way around. Apart from that, lineage will always be debatable. I personally think for soccer, Panini have a stronger connection, if that makes sense. And the number of numbered cards, I'm not sure if that makes sense. The number of numbered cards is less on Prism versus there is a parallel out of 2009 on Topps Chrome, right? Or 2050, something like that. The purple one.
250.
250. So
or whatever it is,
yeah, for example, I don't like those type of numbered cards. I think numbered cards, they should have they should go to 100 and that's it. Probably people completely disagree with me on that, but I don't see the logic of a card if the card is out of almost 300. I personally do not see it. But yeah, I mean, at the time, my idea was that 2014 was a better set in general. But what you said, I actually forgot at the time, that there is Mbappe, there is Lewandowski. and those two guys are quite important. But for example, I believe there is Xavi on 2014.
Yep.
So you know what I mean. That kind of makes a balance. There is also Pulisic on
2017.
That actually your point is quite good. That there is a lot of big names on 2017.
And one thing I'll say real quick is it's actually I'll be interested to see how 2022 World Cup Prism goes. You know what I mean? Because speaking of that continuity, I'm curious. Obviously, people are going to chase it because it's Prism, but I mean, coming to mind, I'm not sure what cards in there I'm really going to be desperate to get. You know what I mean? Like, I'm assuming there's no Holland in there, right? There's going to be no Holland. There's going to be, there's an Mbappe. Like, I can't even really think of anyone off the top of my head, like who's going to be new in there that I'm going to want.
No, yeah,
Pedri maybe.
Yeah,
but
Pedri, and probably more guys that I'm not remember. But that's a good point. Normally on 2017, not on 2017. Sorry, normally on Top Scrum you have the rookie class that you target, etc. Yeah, that's a good point.
So I think that like that chase is, you know what I mean. I'm excited for like Gavi in this upcoming Top Scrum. You know what I mean. Like, and I think that's going to be the case every single year for a long time, as opposed to Prism. Like. And, I don't even know what's going to happen with those licenses. Panini looks a little, I guess, vulnerable would maybe be the word right now. I think it was, Topps just got Euro. They just took over the Euro stickers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So,
no, and that's a good point, of course. I would say one thing. If I had to bet money on one set, 2014 versus 2017, again, maybe right now the best opportunity is 2017, since, like you said, you can still find stuff. They tend to be much more cheap than 2014. But long run, I would say I believe more on the Prism, the first Prism. But for the sets that are coming out now, maybe Top Scrum will do better than, for example, Prism. Maybe the next Top Scrum, but even then, I'm not sure, man, because it's like 4 years. There is a lot of hype already. You know what I'm saying, building around the, I guess they also make 40 euros, right, the Prism, or am I wrong?
They did in 20. I don't think they did for 2020. I know they did 2016. There's 2016 Euro Prism.
As you can
see,
they
did Select.
As you can see, ultramodern is really not my forte, because I don't track that. But you probably know quite more than me, and I agree with you on the 2017 Top Scrum. I think is, to be fair, again, even if the set is super young, is already iconic set in my mind.
I mean, also last thing, just to kind of like, I could 100% be wrong about 2017 Top Scrum. I just think that once again, it's really, really cheap. Some of it, you know what I mean? Like, there's one you love, PK Green. I just got for literally $4. Like, same thing. My collecting philosophy. I will sleep so soundly at night if I'm holding that PK that I bought for $4 for the rest of my life. And the one thing I will say too, to agree with you, if I had to choose between a Ronaldo Gold 2017 Top Scrum and then a Prism World Cup, I'll take the Prism every day of the week. Granted, I think that one's out of 10, and then the Top Scrum is out of 50. But just if they were the same thing, I still think I would stick with the Prism. So I agree with you a little bit on that one.
No, for sure. And again, this goes back into even a different topic, that is set collecting, which probably is a little bit undervalued right now. I mean, certain sets like 2014 Prism, I know people focus a lot on Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, but maybe, again, Sergio Ramos is a good buy. Iniesta could be a good buy. On 2017, it's the same thing. Maybe Piqué is a good buy. Maybe, I don't know. I believe Benzema is not in the set, actually. But you get the point. Maybe even other players that are not on that GOAT status, if those sets end up becoming iconic, basically, there will be people trying to chase all the cards. So
100%. And the last thing, sorry, I'm butting in all the time, but I have my big case that has all my cards basically in my room. And then I also have like a little section where I have stuff that I'm organizing, selling, doing whatever. In my closet are 2 boxes, a Prism 2014, like not a hobby box, but a box full of the cards, graded, raw, everything, and a box full of 2017 Top Scrum. I don't even want to look at it. I have no interest in taking pictures or potentially trading everything. It's just sitting in there. So that shows you, like, and that's the only thing in there. There's no basketball in there. There's no any other sets. It's like, that's what's in my closet and it's staying there. So that shows you I'm long-term with both of those, and I believe in both.
No, makes sense. And this logic can be applied in other eras. For example, in pre-modern, I like Mega Cracks 2004. I think is a set with a lot of potential if set collecting becomes a thing, since was such a beautiful set. And in vintage, I guess you can apply the same logic. For example, for the first Panini World Cup set, I believe it's 70 in Mexico. So there is opportunities in every era, because if you believe in set collecting, certain sets right now, they can potentially, no financial advice all the time, but all the ways, I'm sorry, can be undervalued. So question number 5 was, this is a controversial one, about your opinion on the first 2 Fanatic releases. Can I start first with this one instead of
Go ahead.
now? Because you already said, okay, this is something that I've been trying to avoid to share my take on this, but I think, again, in the end, it is what it is. So first thing, I think is amazing that fanatics have this idea of alternative markets. I think there is a lot of potential there. I'm a big believer on those markets for years. People see me sharing all the time on Discord, Pokemon cards, non-sports cards, the celebrities, etc. Some people don't like it. That's fine. I actually enjoy those markets, and I actually understand why Fanatics is trying to target that side of the market. Another thing that I would say, if you collect, and I'm talking to my audience right now, soccer or F1, because I know there is a lot of crossover, and you are not okay with other markets sharing the space you do, you have zero self-awareness. I'm sorry, because we are also a new market. So if you are criticizing a new space entering the hobby and you are not accepting, I'm sorry, you are collecting soccer, you are collecting F1. I love it, don't get me wrong, but we are also a new market. We need to understand, because baseball collectors did the same to us. Basketball collectors did the same to us. So we should not give the same treatment to other people collecting different stuff. My problem right now with Fanatics, I end up sharing some positivity for them. My problem with Fanatics is the same problem that I have with people criticizing Gary Vee stuff, etc. Is the lack of self-awareness that Fanatics end up showing in the first release. I think Vivi, I don't know, I don't even know the name, Vivi Friends, right? Could be a nice product to be added to the Fanatics releases, but middle in, not the first release. Come on, the first release being Vivi Friends. They have so many big brands. They have buy power that making that the first product. I'm sorry, no, that was a mistake. There is nowhere on that. Look, we all know that Gary Vee is a person that a lot of people love, but actually on the card community, a lot of people like Gary Vee. If you look at comments, there is a lot of hate, which I personally disagree. By the way, I think hating a guy that does not make a lot of sense, but Fanatics end up showing zero self-awareness, putting Gary Vee as the first, since they knew, I mean, unless they don't have a marketing department or something like that, because they end up showing zero self-awareness, making the Gary Vee product actually a product that is related with NFTs. We know there is this fight between NFTs and cards all the time, so zero self-awareness. It's not that I don't like the product. I think the cartoons are quite trash, being real, but again, not for me. I would not be. I would accept that if they do that. In two years from they started releasing or something. But being the first product, I'm sorry. I thought was a complete miss. So.
I'll go ahead. I'm going to slightly disagree with you if it's all right.
No, of course.
I wasn't a fan. I said I wasn't a fan of that release. I wouldn't even say I necessarily disagree with you. I'm just playing a little bit of devil's advocate. I think it's okay that they're kind of like testing out things with a product that's not as desirable. You know what I mean? Like some people might say like, oh, that was the first one. It was the first one. That was their chance. Like to me, it doesn't really matter very much like what their actual first release is. I would rather they did that than put out a half-baked NBA or soccer product. You know what I mean? Imagine if they rushed out a soccer product and it was like unlicensed and they had like you know what I mean? It was like, okay, there's too many, it's 75% women's players and they put in like They chose Ansu Fati as the one guy. Yeah, go ahead.
Just one thing, I agree. I mean, you are
Yeah.
completely correct on that. I just think, look, they own tops. They can make Star Wars cards. They can make Lord of the Rings cards. A brand that most people will not buy if this was a Star Wars product. That's fine, but the controversial around that will not be the same. People say, yeah, I don't care about Star Wars, but whatever, it's the first product. It's just they end up almost provoking the audience, bringing Gary V to be the first product. So again, like you said, you are correct. It's better doing a test product that is maybe not super popular, etc., than going for an NBA product and basically failing really bad, because that will be a disaster. I agree with you. But I think they end up showing a little bit of look. They talk all the time about non-sports cards, and again, like I said, I believe there is a lot of potential on that side. I think celebrities, musicians, whatever, they potentially can have a space on the market. But why not making a product with famous musicians or something like that? Because even if they don't have the rights, they have the power to acquire those rights. It should not be that difficult to get to make a product around those lines. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I'll make the argument. And this goes into my larger fear of Fanatics. Do you know why they chose Gary V and they didn't choose the Beatles or something like that? Is because someone like you would enjoy the Beatles, right? But you're not going to go out and spend $50,000 trying to chase the Beatles one of one. But someone who likes Gary V is gonna, oh wow, these cards are worth money. They sold for 10,000 on eBay. I'm ripping. Fanatics, send me 500K. And I think they're making those. They're targeting the NFT kids. They're like, we want to bring you guys right back in to the sports card market. And that's my larger fear, is they're really trying to get every single cent they can out of it. And people might say oh, Topps and Panini don't do the same thing. They do, but man, I don't know. I've bought Fanatics branded shirts, terrible. Literally, they've ripped on me. Just wearing, not it got caught on a thing. They rip. Fanatics is all about 100% efficiency, 100% squeezing every, get out the competition, all this kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of what scares me with them.
No, yeah. I mean, this is a long conversation, honestly, because I agree with you that I also did not like that much. Again, like I said, I believe they end up lacking self-awareness on this front. And even the second product, I mean, jackass, really. I mean, who really cares? I believe I end up missing you.
Yeah, it cut out for a second there, but I'm back.
So I was saying, even the first product, the second product, jackass. I mean, really, I mean, is this the best they can provide at the start? Again, maybe I'm wrong and they end up doing an amazing job, but at least the first releases, I'm really not a big fan. Yeah, that's me.
I'm curious though. Why do you believe in celebrity cards though? Because I'm not a fan of it at all, just because and this is my own personal thing, but I grew up collecting sports cards, so the idea of having a Ronaldo card is normal to me. But for some reason, even an actor that I like having a Brad Pitt card in my house seems kind of creepy to me. You know what I mean? It's a little bit of I don't know if idolatry is the right word, but it's kind of I feel I have a shrine to a celebrity. It's kind of weird to me. But and it makes no sense because I do that with sports cards, but I guess it's just because I'm used to it.
And by the way, if you are collecting Ronaldo, you are collecting also a celebrity. Because
yeah, you're right. It makes no sense. But for some reason, if I have a Ronaldo card up on my mantle, it's not weird to me. It's someone would see that. But if someone came in and they're like, why do you have a picture of Brad Pitt and Matt Damon or whoever you want to say on your thing, I'd be like, yeah, don't look at this type of thing.
No, but to basically try to explain my thoughts on this, it's not that I like to collect celebrities, because I actually do not like a lot the celebrity market. I'm talking about I don't know, Britney Spears, stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. That's not what I collect. I actually like to collect historical figures, like I guess I ended up sharing recently, Queen Elizabeth, stuff like that. That I see the importance on the history of the world, basically,
Yeah.
and I find some fun chasing those type of cards. But again, most of my viewers also know this. What I really love is TCGs, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, all of that stuff, because I have a connection with that type of stuff. And in Europe, sports cards are not even relevant, but TCGs, they end up being very relevant when I was growing up. So basically, I have more connection with that than I even have with sports cards, with soccer cards. I'm sorry. People think soccer is my favorite thing to collect. No, actually, it's Magic the Gathering. But I see more opportunity in soccer, so I stay. And I have a YouTube channel about soccer cards, so I need to put more time into that market. But again, the way Fanatics can actually bring more people, and I believe Josh Luber ended up talking about this type of stuff, is going to things that can have again the international reach, and celebrities, for example, they can have or bring people. I'm actually end up expressing myself quite bad right now, because he's charging people in America, and America is where basically most of the collectors live. But for example, he's charging fans of, I don't know, Eminem, Drake, Kanye West, people that are not into cards, but if their favorite rapper or something like that starts promoting cards, maybe they can bring certain people to that market. And look, they make, again, Eminem cards. Maybe Eminem fans also like Drake. I have no idea, by the way. But I'm just putting things out there.
Yeah.
Or like Kanye West. You know, and they start creating new markets and bringing people that otherwise will be very difficult to put into the card space. TCGs are very good for that, by the way. A lot of kids that started collecting Pokemon right now are looking at soccer cards, right now are looking at basketball cards, because they think, I mean, collecting Pokemon is cool, but let's see what is the next big thing. And sports in general, they have bigger markets than TCG. So, you know, it's basically connections that can lead into other things. At least is what I believe that they are trying to do.
Yeah, and I believe in them too. Like, that's one thing. Like, I think they're smart over there and targeting growth almost to a fault. Like, your logic makes 100%, and you're right. Like, that's almost smarter than like going necessarily the sports route. Like, trying to build the sports bigger is like targeting other markets and bringing people in. I have no interest in it. Like you said, Drake. Like, I love Drake. Like, that's like probably my favorite rapper. I would never buy a Drake box or a Drake card. Like, I just wouldn't do it. And that's not saying it's
never say never.
That's true. You never know. I probably would have said I'd never buy an F1 card, but here I am. But yeah, so it's not something I see myself doing. I guess once again, it's just like I am just worried with what they're going to do. Like, for instance, something I have a lot of success with lately is just grading. You know what I mean? Like, at card shows, people just kind of like want to just get people who rip, and you know, I don't take advantage of anyone, but people rip. They just want to get rid of their cards. They don't want to list it on eBay, do all this stuff. Buy it for relatively cheap, get it graded for $23, and then you can sell it for a good amount. Fanatics wants everything. They want it all. You're going to open your Fanatics like online pack, you get that, and then they're going to say, hey, you want us to grade this for you, or we'll give you $10 right now for your card, and you can open up another pack. So I guess, you know, I mean, people have talked about more about like breakers and card shops. Like, that's a whole different animal, but I am just like, efficiency is good, but I don't know. I'm just kind of worried if they're gonna like just streamline things too much. I guess that's my more concern, rather than like I said, you know, it's same thing with content. If they release Katy Perry Drake cards and you don't want it, just don't buy it. Like, that doesn't. I guess that's why I'm not too concerned with where we disagree a little bit. Like, I'm not too concerned with the release, because I think they'll bring other stuff. But like, it's everything else that kind of worries me. The monopolization of everything.
No, again, I agree 100% with you on that. And to finalize that, your idea there is that there is a lot of people trying to tell you what you should collect. And I think that's such a weird thing. I mean,
yeah.
Again, do I like Gary V cards? No, but if you love to collect them, You do you. I'm fine with that. I'm not mad at people that collect the Gary V stuff or are fans of Gary V. For me, Gary V, again, is not a person that I basically watch or know very well. But if I know he's a very popular figure around the market, basically. So yeah, if they love to collect that, I would say one thing. I think people need to be a little bit careful with celebrities because they are kind of like rookies. One day they are at the top, the other day they end up not being that relevant. You know what I'm trying to say? Maybe Gary Vee will still be relevant 10 years from now, but at least, for example, a rapper could be very hot right now. And if in the future they start making cars like that, you buy that car believing this guy will be the next Jay-Z, and in the end you end up actually getting a random guy.
Yeah, and I think also like just that true collector base is so important too. It's not like a super unique point. A lot of people have said it, but it's so true. Like jumping around a little bit, like that's one of the reasons I'm not too stressed about some of the basketball cards I'm holding is because I've seen it, right? Like the Trae Young PSA 10, that is worth $40 for someone literally just to hold and to collect. Why I'm worried with a Charles Leclerc card that I'm selling for $2,000 is someone going to spend $2,000 on that just to hold it and collect it? I don't know. Same thing with celebrity cards. I can 100% see it where people come in like and are flipping Drake and all this stuff, and then like 2 years from then, is anyone really going to just want to hold on to these Drake cards? Maybe, but we haven't seen it. That's something that's really important to me at the end of the day. Like that's why I'm concerned about F1, concerned about celebrity cards, is like you got to have a lot of true collectors for the long-term health of a market.
No, again, I agree with you 100%. I think things take time. That's the problem. I mean, we are just starting in the soccer card market. We are just starting on the F1 market, and like you said, that there will be ups and downs. That's normal. But I believe as long think about this, even if the soccer card market gains one collector per day, that will be more than 300 collectors at the end of the year, and that can have an impact on the market. I mean, for certain cards in pre-modern, I'll go back a little bit into pre-modern and vintage. We don't need a lot of collectors. Certain cards are pop 100, certain cards are pop 50, pop 20. I know pops are always relative because we know they only go up. That's the reality. But again, even if we gain one collector per day, and I'm not only talking about soccer, if you are investing in F1, Marvel, which is another, I would say, new market almost, things take time, but those new, I believe PSA calls as emergent markets. That's the correct word. We are basically just starting right now, and like I said, I remember 2-3 years ago, Iniesta market was not a thing. Right now, Iniesta market is solid, at least. I'm not saying is for me still a little bit undervalued, but is already solid. And I think we'll see a lot of this in the soccer card market on F1. For example, actually not related. I don't collect Marvel, but there is a lot of people waiting on Marvel right now on the PMG stuff that they are facing a correction. I mean, people that I'm not sure if people are aware of this, but sports cards are also facing a correction. So you are criticizing a market that is basically having the same correction as our market is always so weird to see stuff like that. And for example, I don't collect Marvel. Do I think Marvel will be a great market in the future? Honestly, yes. I think market is such a strong brand that it's difficult to not imagine Marvel do well in the long run. Not saying everything, by the way, but the important stuff.
I guess the difference would just be like people, because like I guess the sentiment would be the word around like F1 and Marvel is like people are literally talking about F1 and Marvel and saying things like you can't lose. We're at the same thing, to be fair, we heard about soccer, we heard about basketball, but it's like, oh, we're in the first inning. It's this, I can't believe if you compare it to a Michael Jordan, the PMG pop is only 10. So this should be a $2 million card. So I guess that's why, and you see it with everything because people did the same thing to basketball and everything. It's like when the people end up being wrong with their to the moon calls, then that's when people come in and are a lot more harsh. And I think that's what you're seeing with Marvel right now. It's like people were talking crazy. I see that card shows about Marvel, like, oh, you guys are idiots for not buying Marvel. So then once it comes down, everyone is a lot more like kind of passionate about it,
Troy, is what I said, what I tend to say all the time. When things are going well, there is a toxic positivity.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that F1, again, I know there is a lot of people that collect F1 that watch my videos, but F1 could be on that path, basically. Basically, they think it's the best thing in the world. Sooner or later, they will realize, actually, maybe not. Because soccer ended up also going with end up also facing that. But again, sometimes there is the opposite. There is a toxic negativity that, maybe things are not actually that bad. Maybe they also have potential. So yeah, things. That's why again, we are talking about super speculative assets. Our opinions, they change all the time. And actually going back to the question number 2, one thing that I end up learning also is I end up believing a lot in certain, I end up believing a lot in people when people are BS most of the time, because like I said, I remember people telling me, no, I'm in this for the long run. But when things are going down, they end up changing the perspective so fast that I end up, you are not for the long run. You are basically, you thought that soccer just could go up, and when things are going up, it's so easy to be positive. Actually, that's the time you should be the one putting some negativity into the market, saying, look, actually, if there is, I don't know if there is F1 content creators or not. I know you, of course, but right now could be a good time to say, you know what, be careful, because if you are buying at all-time highs, look at the history of other sports. Things do not play that well. But I would say one thing: can this all-time highs 10 years from now look cheap? Of course. I mean, that's also because there is cycles. Things go up, down, up, down. But if the market is I would say a true market, if that makes sense, the stabilization will be stronger every time. So, okay, maybe not at the top right now, but next time, okay, there is a what's the name? A ladder effect. So
100%. And I don't think I'm necessarily using this term right, but I've heard the word like supply shock. I'm not sure if that applies to low supply or high supply, but there was such a low supply of F1, right? When 2020 came out, because there wasn't that much at all. So it's like, if you literally looked up the word like Charles Leclerc on eBay and went to trading cards, there might literally only be 60 results. Fast forward a year from now, if you look up Charles Leclerc, there's going to be thousands. So I would be very surprised if we don't see at least some sort of pullback, especially in like I know I'm getting into the weeds here, but Lights Out and some of the newer Topps Chrome sets as well. So yeah, I think if you don't think there'll be any type of pullback at all, the right stuff will maybe continue to go. Just be careful, guys. That's it. I'll keep it simple. Just be careful. And also, I could be 100% wrong. Keep going, but just be careful.
No, agree. But Troy, one thing that I would say is I don't know a lot about F1, but I was talking with friends the other day, and all of them are watching F1, and I was I was a little bit surprised. I was, wow, this is actually insane. Not all, but most of my friends are actually very engaged with F1. I almost felt bad to not know a lot. But then I ended up asking, why you guys started watching F1? What's the thing you guys end up enjoying so much? The answer was the same all the time: Netflix show. All of them end up saying the same thing. That's great. And again, for sure, a lot of people will stay even when the show is done. But I think people should be a little bit worried also, because at least in Portugal, maybe in America, but in America it's the same thing, most likely, that people end up watching the show, end up creating a lot of hype. People should be a little bit careful because of that. What about if the show starts not doing that well? What if Netflix end up not, after one season or two, saying, you know what, it's over? There is that scenario. And
yeah, I think also people just like what's new as well. Like, maybe I'm just weird. I know some people are different than me, but like, this sounds like bad to say, but like, I've seen Giannis play LeBron like 50 times. So it doesn't, like, watching a regular season NBA game is just like not my favorite thing to do in the world. But with F1, it's like everyone loved, oh, Netflix. Oh my God, Daniel Ricciardo, this guy I saw, he's actually racing. I can really go and this is my first time like going to see him play. Oh my God, I can buy his card. So it's like, it's new and exciting. So that makes you like I try to tune into every single F1 race, but that's because I've only seen like 5 in my life. It's brand new to me. I guarantee you 3 years from now, like I'm not going to be watching every single F1 race. I'll still be a fan, I imagine, but I won't be as locked in. And it's the same thing with the cards. It's new. There's opportunity. I'm like, I didn't know that they had this parallel. And like, oh, people, I think like I had an opinion that people were undervaluing the parallel. So like, I'd rather have a gold Lewis Hamilton than a base portrait. And it's like, whereas in other sports like basketball, it's like I always say, you're not really going to figure that stuff out. Like things kind of how they are. So it's new, it's exciting, everyone's in it. It'll keep growing, but the fanaticism may not be the exact same once it's kind of the newness has worn off.
No, I agree. And I also think there is a couple of people that are basically flippers, traders, whatever, that they jump from market to market, and they always try to find the market that is doing very well. They try to ride the wave. And again, I'm not criticizing F1 because we also saw that with soccer, we saw that with Marvel. Actually, for example, when Marvel was doing very well, I ended up buying a lot of Star Wars, and basically I'm like 4x up on my Star Wars stuff, because for me it made a lot of sense. Those guys, they will get a little bit bored with Marvel, or at least the entry point will get so huge that they need to find the next thing. And right now, again, Top Scrum Galaxy 2021 for Star Wars is doing very well. My entry point was a joke on that set. Did I gamble a little bit? Yes, of course, but sometimes those guys are a little bit predictable, because we know they will go. Look, WWE, another good example. Everyone is talking about that, but do people really believe that market will stay long run? I know there is a lot of collectors on WWE, like there is on Marvel, but things they take time. And basically, this is what we have been saying on this conversation. Just be careful, because if you are buying at all-time highs, the downside can be really bad.
100%. And one other thing too, I'm going to answer a question that no one asked me. When you talk about these people like kind of like pumping, you can see people some people have even admitted to it openly, like, hey, we're all trying to raise the prices of F1, so we're doing things like this, or like, oh, you guys, you got to buy Marvel, it's going to the moon. Like, you can tell who is doing things for their own gain. Like, it's really, they don't hide it that much. You can see when people are deliberately trying to mislead or do anything. When it comes to content creators, which is like, I love about you, like, you're probably even better than me. Like, you're 100% authentic with what you think. Does that mean you're always right? No, you even admitted you've been wrong. I've been wrong. I was wrong about Vinicius twice. I said you should buy when you shouldn't have bought, and then when he did bad, I said you should sell, and then he started doing well. But like, I have, I'll pat myself on the back a little bit, because that's what people tell me. Like, you're authentic with what you say. Like, I've been wrong a million times, but what I say is really what I think. And like, that's really, I think, what we should be looking for from content creators, and what we should strive to do ourselves.
Well said. I mean, I've been wrong so many times. It's not even funny at this point. I mean, I always say this: if you guys really think I know how to predict the future, think about this. Since I started my channel, I've been saying Messi is undervalued. Messi has been going down for more than 1 year. So if this does not put in perspective that predicting the market is super difficult, do I still believe in Messi in the long run? Of course, but be careful when people say you should go this route for sure. The person can tell you, I believe this, and try to justify. And I think that's great. Otherwise, the content will be boring, to be honest. If no one can have an opinion, I mean, what are we doing on this? But at least what I tend to say is, if you are a content creator, at least put two perspectives. That, look, I think this, but of course we are talking about a speculative asset, so be careful, or at least put money that you are okay if you lose 20%, 50%, whatever. I think that's the only thing people should ask for a content creator, is at least be honest with what you believe. And there is a lot of people trying to ride waves. So
100% agree.
Troy, any final thoughts on this?
No, that's it. I kind of got in my little content creator speech at the end, so I appreciate you guys indulging me. Yeah, just thanks for having me on, man. Congrats on everything. I love watching the channel. Thank you. You legitimately are doing a service to the hobby. So I try to soak up as much information as I can. So thank you.
No, my pleasure. I mean, Troy is a very humble person, honestly. I mean, your channel is probably 10 times bigger than mine, and I asked and he said automatic yes. So just shows how great of a guy Troy is. I'm not saying because you are with me right now, but I mean, is what I believe. I always thought you are one of my favorite content creators, as I always enjoyed your videos, and I think you are also an amazing person to have in the hobby. So thank you so much. See you guys next time. Have a nice day. Bye.